Welcome to Prostyle Podcast. Today, if you're a Bass fan, you're excited. You're excited for one reason, because the guy that I have on today is the most score point guy in Chicago Bear history. He is a good friend of mine. When I first came into the organization, he was one of those guys that kind of bust your chops a little bit. Like, he's gonna let you know that, hey, this is my organization. I run things around here, so you need to get in line. All right. Please welcome my man Robbie Gould. How you doing?
Earl, thanks for having me, buddy. It's so good to see you.
Man, you too. You just finished season 14. How's the body?
It feels old, you know?
Feels old.
It feels like I just went through my 14th year. I feel, what's funny is it actually gets easier as you get older.
Really?
Yeah, it's different, obviously, when you have kids and a family and those kind of things. But ironically, the older you get, the easier it becomes. And I think you just become smarter,
Yeah.
When you're young, you go and do everything and anything. And when you're older, you just can't wait to get home and hang out with the kids.
Yeah. So let's get into that a little bit, though. Training camp is a little different for you, Robbie. You don't have the typical schedule that most players have. Walk us through your schedule during preseason.
Get a little breakfast, get a little pump in, make sure I'm looking good for the photos and all that at training camp for standing around. Get warmed up a little bit, then get ready to go out to practice. Get a tan, kick 6 kicks, go back in, hit the ice tub, and then do it all over again.
Yeah, see, I think you left a little bit out. I think you left the golfing out. Robbie used to bring his golf clubs to training camp, he and Patrick Manley, and they disappear. They would go and golf, and I'm sitting around here mad because I'm like, maybe I should have kicked. Maybe I should have been a punter or a kicker. And I used to be jealous of watching you guys go and play golf while we're headed to a meeting or something.
You don't know.
Yeah. So you mean to tell me that your
meetings?
That is pretty good. That's interesting. You guys had a meeting on the golf course.
Yeah. A lot of conversation, a lot of situational football being discussed.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit of gambling going on for sure. But yeah, we probably get about 27 holes in a day before practice. Yeah. That would be kind of our warm-up routine.
Man, that's crazy. That is crazy.
You guys probably enjoyed those meetings, though. That's the life of a specialist.
Man, I bet those meetings were a lot of fun. A lot of fun. It's August, great weather in Chicago. You can't really beat it. You guys just out on the golf course. Meanwhile, me, Devin, Johnny was stuck with Coach Drake. We're sitting in the meet room just trying to stay awake, Hey,
they have Red Bull. They have a lot of good stuff to try to help you. Coffee. You guys get all the snacks you want. It's a good deal for you guys.
All right, so we're going to walk this back a little bit. You came out 2005 NFL draft, undrafted. Just take us through how you felt, being undrafted. Did you feel like you had to prove a point when you came in the league?
Well, yeah, I think you have to always do that, no matter what pick you are, whether you're the first-round pick or whether you're undrafted. Obviously, coming into New England, you had to earn your stripes. You had to work your butt off. You had to learn how to be a pro. You had to learn how to kick in the National Football League, and I was pretty lucky to have guys like Adam Vinatieri and Josh Miller and Lonnie Paxton and Brad Seeley, who's, obviously one of the longest tenured special teams coaches with multiple Super Bowl rings. So then you go to Bill Belichick, right?
Yeah.
That guy's going to, I think, his 9th straight AFC championship game, So
that's crazy.
What better people to learn from? And there's a lot of things that I still carry over from that organization that I took to Chicago. When I got to Chicago, I had guys like Patrick Manley and Dave Tobe and Brad Maynard. And, these guys really took me under their wing as a young rookie trying to figure it out. And, I was pretty lucky to be in a locker room with Olin Kreutz and Roberto Garza. And, there's Urlacher. Then there's Julius Peppers who came in. There's always something you can learn from these guys. And, you're always hungry though, and the time I tell my family, my wife and my kids, hey, when I'm done feeling that itch to get out there, or I still have the butterflies before the game, that's when I know it's time to quit.
Yeah. We had Brian Urlacher on the show. It was fun. It was interesting because we talked about the locker room, and of course now you being a 49er, is there any difference in the locker room in Chicago? You were with the Giants, you with the Ravens, and you also were with the Patriots. Do you see any differences in the locker rooms as you've been on multiple teams?
Well, I think the personalities that we had in Chicago just fit in with playing dodgeball and wiffle ball and boxing up. And
that was dangerous, man. That was I mean, you just
we
never
all
knew.
a bunch of idiots having fun. We tried to be competitive, which wasn't going to happen. But at the end of the day, you know, those guys in that locker room from, you know, really 05, 06 to even 2010, right? That whole stretch, you know, you're talking about guys who, you know, you goof around, you'd have fun, and whether it be a practice and you're playing the movie game and you know, the word games, and to make sure practice would go by a little bit quicker in the snow. But, you know, those guys really knew how to work, but they also have fun, right? And
for sure.
I think that's a lot of the reasons why we won in Chicago in those times, because everyone played hard for each other. We're in a different era, I think, of football now. You have a lot of young guys coming in, and you know, these kids are like 10 years old when I started in the NFL. So, you know, they're old enough probably to be my kids. But, you know, they all have personality. They love to dance. I don't know what it is, but like this young generation, all they do is dance. Or I don't know what.
I'm waiting on that Robbie Gould dance. That's what I'm waiting on.
I got that two-step.
You got the two-step? I'll take it. All right, so the first kick, your first field goal of the 2019 season, I need to see a Robbie Gould two-step.
We'll have to work on it. I'll get our punter involved too. We'll do a little two-line two-step.
No, that'll be super cool. That'll be dope. So this year you guys had a lot of injuries, man. The quarterback, the running back position, some young guys, very promising. What's the outlook on y'all season for this upcoming year?
Well, you know, it's obviously a difficult one for us. We've had a lot of injuries, you know, but sometimes it just happens that way, right? It's kind of, you know, you look at injuries, you say, hey, are they like catastrophic broken bones, like ligaments? Are they, you know, severe concussions? Are they, you know, broken ankles? Or are they like, you know, hamstring pulls? And you know, these are things that we've had some catastrophic injuries, and, you know, it's part of the football. Football is a physical sport, right? So I think if you look at how our season was from a overall perspective and try to put the positive spin on it, is, you know, a lot of young kids that got an opportunity to play, right? And when they get that chance, you hope that those moments that they got a chance to play this year will help us next year whenever we're making a run, right? And they're not making the mistake that they made in week 15 last year. Instead, they're making the play and we're scoring a touchdown, you know? But I think there was a lot of promising things that you saw from those young kids. And obviously, we get Jimmy G back. We get Jerick McKinnon back on offense. I think they'll make us pretty dynamic. But you also look on the young side of football, a guy like DeForest Buckner had a breakout year. George Kittle on the offensive side set a record for a tight end in year 2, you know, a 5th-round pick. So, you know, there's a lot of arrows pointing up for the organization, and there's a lot to be excited about. Yeah, no, I'm excited, especially when I see Coach Shanahan. I had the opportunity to play with him when I went to Cleveland that offseason, and just to see how, you know, he loves the game. He's constantly, you know, finding new plays, finding new route, mismatch personnel. I think he's one of those bright guys that don't really get a lot of credit as like a Sean McVay does, just because he hasn't really had the success yet. But I think when you look at him from an offensive standpoint, he's a genius. Like, you saw what he did when he was in Atlanta with the Falcons, and to be able to help Matt Ryan to go to the Super Bowl. So I think he's one of those coaches that's young. I mean, he's driven. He's one of those guys that he just wants to win. So I think you guys are going to be one of the really good teams next year, because you got a lot of young guys, and then Jimmy G come back. I'm excited to see the running back too, the guy that you guys got from the Vikings. I honestly thought he was going to be, you know, one of the top running backs just because he's dual threat. And so I personally think you guys will be at the top next year, man. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, you're crazy. But when you just look at the entire landscape of your organization, I think you guys definitely can win a lot of games. Yeah, you know, I think when you have a healthy salary cap, obviously we're on like $70 million in salary cap space to be able to make some moves this offseason and retain some players that we had on the roster, but also go out and add some players. You know, I think Kyle Shanahan, like you said, is an offensive-minded wizard. Like, the guy has an answer for everything. He picks up guys, not necessarily because they're the top-tier guys. He picks them on their attributes and what they can bring to the table on the offense, right? It's not like, oh, this guy's 6'4", he's lanky, he's got speed, we can plug him in somewhere. It's, you know, he's got to fit the system. He's got to fit what he does. And, you know, I think what's amazing about, you know, playing with all those young kids, we were in a lot of football games. Right. You know, there's a couple that we just turned the ball over too many times and didn't help ourselves, you know, and when you lose a turnover battle, you're going to get beat, you know, by a couple touchdowns. So I think if you look at him and what he is about, he loves football. Football's life. He grew up it. His dad was a head coach forever, you know, won a couple Super Bowls as a head coach and as an assistant. So, you know, it's in his bloodline. And, you know, you get pretty excited about a guy who walks in and has an understanding about what you go through on Monday through Sunday. And how to conserve you and how to make sure that the schedule is the right way so that you're ready to play on Sunday. So there's a lot of things I think he's done as a young head coach that for the players in the locker room, I think the organization, when we get everyone healthy and get going, I think there's, like I said, and you mentioned it a little bit, but there's a lot for us to get excited about.
Right. All right. So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's take this thing back, man. There was a lot of departure from the Chicago Bears back in the day when you look at Brian Urlacher, how he was released. You know, nobody, you know, they didn't really give him a chance to sign him. You look at myself, they gave me the ultimatum of take a pay cut or get out, you know, and so I got out. And then we look at you, you know, guys who really helped the organization, not just from a playing standpoint, but the locker room and the community. And so now you look at the team, you know, they're finally getting back to what we have built up in Chicago. And, you know, it's good. Things are on the bright side. But how do you feel about your departure from Chicago?
I'm not mad about it at all, right? At the end of the day, football is a business.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, as a player, you don't really get to kind of say when your time's up at a place.
Right.
More often than not, that the organization is your employer, just like a lot of other businesses. They get to tell you where, when, how, why, and for what reason. Yeah. And as a player, you have the opportunity to say yes or no, and you have to make those decisions, right? So they made a decision to go in a different direction, and you know, I'm happy that they got back to the winning ways this year. I think the big addition of Khalil Mack had made that locker room a lot better from a leader coming in and changing the demeanor of the defense.
Right.
And you're talking about a top 10 defense with Vic Fangio. And then Khalil Mack comes in and everyone's working harder. There's a spark. There's something different on offense. And, you know, they kind of got away from that feeling of, you know, how are we going to do this? And why is it going to happen? And they get this big time elite player like Urlacher, right? And next thing you know, the whole locker room changes, and I'm happy for him because Khalil Mack's a heck of a player.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
They're back in the playoffs. They have a lot of attributes from this season I thought felt like the 2005 season that we had, where, you know, they're winning a lot of football games. They're young. They haven't really tasted the playoffs, and I think this experience is going to help them a lot for next year. And you know, I'm just happy to see they're doing well.
Yeah. No, for sure. They are doing very well. Excited to see them back in the playoffs. But I got that one question that every Bears fan got. I got that one question. Everybody has this. The Bears lost to the Eagles, playoffs. Tip field goal, 43-yarder by Cody Parkey. Everybody in the whole world, good as gold, man. You know, when we were playing with you, we were like, hey, we're not worried about it. This game's over with. We're going to the next round. 43-yarder in the cold, Soldier Field against the Eagles. Do Robbie Gould make that?
We're talking about a hypothetical. I wasn't out there. I didn't get a chance to kick it. You know, obviously, I feel for Cody Parkey and what he went through on Sunday. I have a lot of respect for him. I have a lot of respect for him as not only as a person, but as a kicker. And, you know, we'll never know.
We'll never know.
Never know.
We'll never know. I mean, when I look at it, my man Robbie Gould, I don't think you let me down, man.
I've missed a few of my day. I've missed a couple game winners.
Game winner, I think maybe one that I can think of.
I've missed more than that. I think I've missed
my 6 years playing.
4 or 5 maybe game winners.
In your entire career, right?
Yeah, Minnesota I've missed, I think, 2. I missed a 48 in the Trestman era, and I missed a 48 at home against them. I missed a I missed one against Tampa Bay in like '05, maybe '07.
Yeah.
I missed two the year before I got cut. We missed one against San Francisco. I missed one against Washington, and back-to-back weeks. So I've missed a handful, for sure. And it happens. Every kicker, you want to be perfect. That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get a chance to go out there and win the game, you want to do it. And as a competitor, I grew up loving Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was my favorite of all time. And I never saw that guy want to pass the ball ever, right?
Yeah.
So when you go out there, I try to, go out there and really focus on what I have to do and trust my keys. And I've been around a lot of great players, from guys on the offensive line to defensive line that buy into field goals, field goal block, all that kind of stuff, right? So I've been fortunate to be on teams where special teams mattered, and I think for me in my career, if you look back, whether it's in Chicago or New York, now San Francisco, what's funny is I've been pretty lucky. I've had a great group of guys that I've been able to play with, and they take a lot of ownership in it. And for me as a player, looking back a little bit, I'm very thankful for those guys and for the coaches that I had, because without those guys, I wouldn't be still playing, for sure.
I'm going to tell you why I feel so good right now, all right? Goose Island held a field goal competition in Chicago, 101 contestants on who could make the Cody Parkey challenge. That's what they called it. Who could make it? Out of 101 supposedly kickers, nobody made it. I feel so good because everybody think they could do your job better than that you can. Like, everybody think it's easy to run a slant route across the middle and catch the ball. Everybody think they can make a 43-yard field goal. So I feel good. I feel good for Cody Parkey. I feel good for every NFL kicker that worked their butt off to get in that position, because a lot of people don't really understand that it's really hard. Like, there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, I think, it is hard no matter what.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's something to sports now with social media and kind of how the technology has changed the game, right?
Right.
Before, if you dropped a pass or missed a kick, you'd literally see it in headlines and it was gone the next media cycle, right? So now this whole Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and whatever else these young kids on, or
the memes, the GIFs, it just don't stop.
It doesn't end, right? So you have to really understand that if your misses or your mistakes, they get blown out of proportion, but they also you want that fan base to be that crazy and excited, and like that's what gets you excited as a player, right? So you just got to take the good with the bad. Your job is one that's on TV. Yours is one that's more public than other people's, and
for sure,
it just comes with the trade. So you have to embrace it and take it. Whenever you screw up, you just have to say, I made a mistake. Right. And when you made a play, and you got to make sure that you give everybody the credit they deserve, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's the generation right now we live in. And my 5, 3, and 9-week-old kids, like, I fear for what they're going to have to go through 20 years from now, right? So hopefully it'll be somewhat tame, right? But at the end of the day, like, it's something that you're passionate about, something that fans are passionate about. And that's what Chicago and San Francisco and New York, those fans are passionate fans, right? Yeah. And that's the best part about the sport, because you get to go out there and play and you get to make a good living. And, I think it's kind of a unique experience if you embrace it.
Right. So Prostyle looks at the symmetry between hip hop and sports. I want to know what Robbie Gould has on his playlist right now from a hip hop standpoint. What you playing nowadays?
Lil Wayne for sure.
Uh-oh. Lil Wayne. So what's your pregame song that you're running out to? What Lil Wayne? Any Lil Wayne?
I go to either Napster or Spotify, throw in Lil Wayne. I just jam out to him and Drake. Every now and again, I get a little Nicki Minaj in there just to change it. She's one of my favorite go-to girls. Okay. In the rap genre of music. And then I'll even go back into like Biggie or Tupac and do the 90s hip hop. So it's a wide range for sure. But you know what's funny is I don't mind any type of music.
Yeah.
Country, pop.
And that's why a lot of people say, why do you have Brian Urlacher on the show? Why do you have Robbie Gould on the show? Oh, because they're a former Bears player. No, like these guys genuinely appreciate hip hop as well as football. You know,
yeah, like crazy is like there's so many young rappers now coming out that and everybody has a speaker in their locker of some sort. So you get to hear, you know, we got to meet E40 in the locker room.
Oh man.
A couple weeks back, right? He came in, he was a big 49er fan and
legend.
He came in and talked to us, and then we were hanging out in the locker room, and so we got to listen to his rap, and then we were also listening to other West Coast rap.
Right.
Funny the difference between East Coast and West Coast rap, and listen to players from like Sacramento versus, you know, players from Florida and those type of places. So, you know, it's unique. E40 is a great dude, man. He's unreal. Like, you know, and he has so many hits. That's what's wild. Like, he just was pumping. Yeah. He's still pumping them out. That's what's crazy. He's in studios right now. He's killing it right now. Getting ready.
Yeah, to do man. E40 is like 50 something, probably almost late 40, early 50s, and he's still like, you know, that so legend, young. Just still putting it out, still look young. I see him courtside at the Warrior game. You know, he's just over there just doing his thing. And so anytime I see a legend like that, I'm just like, man, like he embodies like what pro style mean. Like he understands, you know, the symmetry between hip hop and sports and how the two are synonymous. And I love it, man. You know, I just love to be able to get guys' take on this issue because not many people really look at it. So give me your take on the symmetry between hip hop and sports, because a lot of people look at it from a competitive situation. A lot of people look at it from a relatability instance. So what do you think?
Well, here's what I love about music in general in sports, right? As much as sports, everyone's going to look at it and say it's just football. It is an entertainment business, right?
Right.
You're changing people's lives, whether it's with the catch that you made or the tackle that you stopped on 4th and goal, or, you know, being able to go out in the community and do a bunch of different things. You know, music's kind of the same way, right? Like they build music that they've gone through or things that they've done, and they get to tell their story through music.
Right.
I think what's kind of cool is like, you know, these guys get to go and tour all over the place, all over the world, not just like in the US. They go all over the place, and they get to really do some powerful things on tour when they tell people about their stories and how they persevered through this, or why they wrote this song about their mom or their family, and they get to teach people kind of like the values and the rules of what you can do if you put your mind to it, right? And I think a lot of that for me is what I love about meeting these guys, you know, and it makes you want to be a better football player, makes you want to be a better athlete, you know, and here I am jamming out the Lil Wayne and, you know, before the game, you know, and getting all excited, and Lil Wayne's on ESPN talking about who his favorite teams are, right?
Exactly.
He's sitting courtside. So these guys like are. And then Drake puts on everybody's jersey. Whoever's winning, Drake's got that jersey.
Exactly. I'm starting to have an issue with that too, all right? Like, it's going too far. Like, somebody got to sit Drake down and say, hey, Drake, let's just pick at least 2 teams, buddy. Like you can't wear everybody's jersey. I've seen my man with a Kentucky jersey on. I've seen him with an Alabama jersey on. I mean, it's like – you can't cross teams, especially in the SEC. Like, you can't have Kentucky and Alabama. Like, you got to
That's coming
pick,
from a Vandy guy, so I totally get it,
like,
right?
You have to choose, and then the bad thing about it is that every team that jersey he wears, they lose. Like, come on. Like, you're not helping nobody out.
If we get to the Super Bowl, and I love listening to Drake, I hope he has the other team's jersey on for sure.
If you get to the Super Bowl and Drake walks in with the Robbie Gould jersey on, I'm coming to see. I'm going to see Drake. We need to have a talk before the game. Like, hey man, hey security, sorry, excuse me, Drake, bro, you can't do this to my homie. Like I
need the ring, Drake. You can do it the next time around.
Like you got to come up off that jersey, man. Sorry, somebody's gonna snap a picture, it's gonna go viral, and same thing's gonna happen. We're gonna lose. Something bad's gonna happen. Like, nothing good's happen when Drake wears your team. Like, nothing.
Yeah. You know what's funny though is I hope I'm in that situation that he has to pick a jersey. That's a good situation to be in.
Oh, it's a great situation. But I just hope when he's, thinking about it, I just pray that he's like, you know what? I want Robbie to win. I can't do this to him.
Well, here's the thing. I know Odell Beckham Jr. is pretty tight with him. And Brad Wing is too. So if we get in that situation, I'm going to tell him, like, hey, man, you can wear it after the game. I'll buy you the jersey. Or if you want the Jimmy G jersey, I'll get it for you.
Wear it after the game. I'll see you at the party, the post-game party that they have. Everybody's in there dancing, having fun. That's when we say, hey, Drake, here you go, man. You pop the jersey.
I'll give him my game jersey. He can have a Super Bowl jersey. If I win the ring, he can have the jersey.
Listen, Drake, here you go, man. I appreciate it. Well, hey, man, this is year 15 for you. Big things expected. Just give me your outlook on the season.
Well, I'm excited. Obviously I'm a free agent right now, so I have exclusive rights to talk to the 49ers until I think middle of March.
Uh-huh.
And, we'll see what happens. Obviously, I'm not really worried about that right now because you can't really do much anyways, just waiting on phone calls. So I was in San Jose for 4 months, really, without my family. So
oh, wow.
I'm up as much dad hugs.
Wow. Yeah. That's a lot of time away from the family.
Taekwondo.
Yeah.
So I've got the little daddy carpool in the morning on the way to school. We're singing songs and going crazy. And then just really enjoying being around my family because it's been a long time coming. So I'm excited for what's ahead. And, I'm excited for what I think will be another great year. And time will tell where that's going to be.
Yeah. All right. Let's say the Bears come calling. Hey, Robbie, we sorry, man. We are so sorry. Biggest mistake ever in organization history. We need you back, man. Well, what are we doing?
Again, another hypothetical. I can't pick up any phone calls from anybody. I hate handling it all. Here's what I'll say. I love Chicago. I live here. I still live here. And whether you go to the grocery store or whether you go to a restaurant, like that's question everyone's asking me, and I get it, right? I understand it, but Cody's their kicker right now,
right?
And he's the guy on the roster. He's the guy that I think can rebound and have a great season and do some big things for the Bears down the road. And for me, Chicago will always be home. I love the Bear fans. I love the city. I'll always be a Bear, no matter what team I'm on or where I'm going or whatever happens. One day I'll probably retire a Bear. And, it's one of those things that free agency, just like, is much out of your control. Like we talked about earlier is, you get people that they call, they give you an offer, you say yes or no, and you find out what the best fit is for you, your career and your family. And, before it would probably, be a little different because you're making decisions for yourself.
Right. Yeah.
This is great. I love this. Right now, I come home after. Hey, honey, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
Where do you think they're going to go to school? Can we find really good doctors? Can we, get this for the So there's a lot that goes into it, and time will tell. Like I said, where it's going to be, and my agent will always pick up the phone, and he's dialed into that, and we'll make that decision whenever that time comes.
Yeah, man. Well, I
appreciate know not the answers that you want to hear.
Man. No. This is what the people. That's the reality of it, man. That's what people need to hear, man. Real raw, unedited, the truth. And no, I appreciate it, man. This has been fun, man. It's been good seeing you. Good catching up, man.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm glad you and your family are doing well. And when you get up to Chicago, hit me up.
Yeah, man, we'll do. Hey, how can the people follow you on social media?
Robbie Gould 09 throughout every social media, Facebook, Twitter.
There it is, man. Yeah, I'll make sure y'all go follow my man Robbie Gould, man. I appreciate you for being on me, bro.
Appreciate you, big Earl.
Yes, sir.